Hello, Olivier. How are you?
Fine, Laura. How do you do too?
I'm good. I'm recently starting as Watson, and through my briefings, I've been told there is this daily, weekly monitoring form I should use in my health structure. And I was wondering whether you could tell me a bit more about it, please.
Yes, Laura. The daily weekly monitoring forms is a form which will help us monitor certain key Watson indicators in the health facility. The key indicators we are talking about here are the water quality, the water quantity, and the quality of waste segregation in the facility.
Okay, fantastic. So it helps me monitor three indicators, right? Free residual
Correct.
chlorine, waste segregation, and water consumption. Clear. How do I collect
Correct.
that information?
Yes, Laura, to collect the information, we are going to make use of this monitoring tool which you find here. This tool, you find different tables which you are supposed to print out. One for free residual chlorine, which is related to to water quality, one for waste segregation, and the others eventually for the water consumption. Now, to collect the information once the form is printed, we have to ensure that the information is collected at the start of each epidemiological week. So it's formed in such a way that once you enter the date in question, the epidemiological week is going to be communicated automatically to you by the Excel program. Now, your team in the field, it could be your Watson supervisor or your Watson technician, the log hospital. It depends on how you're going to set up your organization. What they need to do is to measure the free residual chlorine every day in the health facility in at least 3 different points. Here I have a pre-filled form. So what needs to be done is when they do the free residual chlorine measurements, they record the values in this form where we see result free residual chlorine. It could be 0 in the first point and 0 in the second point and 0 in the third. So every day we have to consider at least 3 different points. The same goes also for waste segregation. But here we are not measuring anything. We are going to be controlling the quality of segregation in the soft waste bucket. Attention, you are not supposed to manipulate the waste in the soft waste bucket. All you need to do is to go to 3 different locations equally in the health facility. You verify in the soft waste bucket. If it contains only the soft waste, then we input yes in the segregation column. But if there is any doubt, if there is any mixture, for example, there is a vial, for example, there is a syringe or an organic banana peel, then we are going to input no in the segregation column.
Oh,
Later on, we are going to have in the end some data which we are going to consider a little bit later on. It's going to be the sum of all what we have collected over the week. The number of free residual chlorine points which are okay versus the number of water points tested for water quality, and for waste segregation, the number of waste buckets which are okay versus the number of waste buckets which have been checked. Now,
okay.
the next indicators, as I said, was the water consumption, water quantity, and for the water quantity, we are going to verify this also in two folds: the water needs and the water which we really supply to the health facility. Let us start with the water needs, which is found in tab 5 here.
Mm-hmm.
In the water needs, we need three different information to help us calculate this: the number of IPD beds in the hospital facility, the number of OPD patients, and the number of deliveries or surgeries which have been carried out in the facility. How can we get this information? You will have to discuss with your medical team. They can give you this information directly from the HMIS. So for our situation, for example, where we are in epidemiological week 3, you can contact your team or your medical colleagues and ask them for the information for epidemiological week 3, and they would give you these values. Let us assume that in the health facility, we have 70 beds that were occupied during the week, and we have 500 patients who consulted as OPD consultations during the week. And for deliveries, it was a week which was full of deliveries and surgeries, and we have 50 interventions. Once these values are inputted here, you see it calculates automatically the daily water needs in column F. And this is the value which is going to be important and which we are going to use a little later on. Are you okay with this?
I see. Yeah, it's clear. So once I have the water needs, how do I introduce the real consumption?
Okay, the real consumption now, it's what we are going to look at now. We can measure it in twofold. First, if the health facility has a water meter, and second, if the health facility does not have a water meter. These are what you find in tabs 4A and 4B. So let's start with the facility that has a water meter. If our facility has a water meter, then we are going to take the difference of water consumption from the water meter at the start of each epidemiological week versus the start of the next epidemiological week. So for our situation, we are in epidemiological week 3. So we take the difference at the start, which is the 17th of January, and the end, which is the 24th of January. One thing to note is we should endeavor as much as possible to collect this information from the water meter at approximately the same time every day. So if we take 9 a.m., we should do the readings as much as possible around 9 a.m. Now, let's assume the reading we collected for this water meter at the end of week 3 is 145 meters cube. We input the value here, and automatically you see it's calculated also the daily water which is consumed for the health facility, which is approximately 6,500 liters. This is the situation where we have a water meter. In case we do not have a water meter, we go to tab 4B, and in tab 4B, we go yet again to epidemiological week 3 because that is what is important for us. But in this tab or in this situation, what we would do is we have to input the approximate value volume of water we have supplied to the health facility. Now it could be by water trucking. If that is the case, it's good. The water trucking follow-up sheet could be of great use to us. If not, we are going to find different means to estimate the volumes of water which have been supplied to the health facility. So let's assume in this week we had 10,000 liters supplied on Monday, and nothing supplied on Tuesday, and 3,000 supplied on Wednesday, and 3,000 supplied on a Thursday, 5,000 on Friday, and so on. I meant 5,000 here, 3,000, and 4,000. You'll also notice here that as we input all of these values, automatically it calculates the daily water consumption, which is the value which is of importance to us. So you will notice now that we have recorded all of these values, but what then do we do with these values? All these values which I've mentioned, the daily water consumption, the daily water needs, and for the waste calculator, and free reservoir chlorine calculator, the number of points which are okay versus the number of points which were tested. All these values automatically are transferred to tab 2. Can you see?
Yeah, I see.
Which is tab 2, which is called weekly HMIS. As I said a while ago, epidemiological week is of utmost importance. So we should always cross-check that the value we have in epidemiological week on these small table here, key indicators, is coherent with whatever information we have filled for the week in the other tabs. So you'd see all the values which were inputted in the other tabs are automatically represented on this table.
Perfect. I
Now,
see.
great. Now, all of these values, we have to copy them manually and input them into the compilation table. And again, the week is very important. So the information we have now, we are on week number 3. So we should write down these values. We should write them down manually into the table. We have 32, we have 35, we have 6,429, we have 5,271, then we have 33 and 35. So we input all of these values here, and normally these values, you are the one who are supposed to input them, because your team will give you all of this information back at the end of the week. So you input all of these values, and you would see below we have some curves which try to give us an idea of what the different trends may be. The different graphs here represent the water quality. So the free residual chlorine, which is okay, versus the free residual chlorine versus the number of points which were tested. We also have below here the water quantity versus the water supplied versus the water needs, and below the last table is the segregation. So what do you do with this information? The information should help you to see where there are problems and how you can investigate these problems to be able to ameliorate. For the case of water quality, we have to always ensure that the number of points, okay, for free residual chlorine should always be equal to the number of points tested. So the curve, we should try as much as possible so that these two curves should always be one. For waste segregation, it's the same principle as for the free residual chlorine. All of the points we check should, as much as possible, be should have properly segregated waste. And for the other one, which is the water quantity, the idea is that the amount of water which we supply in the health facility be always superior than the water needs for the health facility.
Okay,
Is that okay?
that's clear. Yeah, it's clear.
Great.
I think that's going to be useful for me to be able to analyze what's going on in the hospital. Thank you.
Exactly. Now, in addition to your analysis, this information again is going to be inputted into the HMIS platform. Now, how are you going to go about it? The small table we have here, the key indicators table, at the end of each week, after having compiled all the information, you print out just this small table and you hand it over to the data encoder in the project. The data encoder is the one who is going to input this information into HMIS. As you know, HMIS is a medical platform, so it's managed by the medical team. Now you are going to have access to HMIS as well as other key members of the logistics team, like the LOCO and the LTL. And the key information we shall be seeing in the HMIS is going to be this compilation table and the different graphs we find below here. So the idea is you are going to be doing the monitoring in the field on a regular basis and in a more close setup, and from externally, the medical team, the logistics team, maybe in the capital, can also do this follow-up and together with you try to improve the quality of the indicators which we are collecting.
Okay, that's great. So then the medical team can also help me find solutions when we see there's a problem on Watson in the health structure. Fantastic. Great. Is there anything else I should know about this form, Olivier?
Yes, Laura, there is before I go, I would insist that the form, as we said a while ago, is to ensure that the indicators we are following in the facilities are okay. It is not an evaluation tool for you or for the people who are in the facilities collecting this information. So we'll have to sensitize them a lot to understand the reasoning behind the tool, to be able to improve the monitoring and improve the quality of the services we are offering to our beneficiaries. In addition to that, there are in tab 6 of this Excel sheet, you have resources where you have links for several links for how to measure free residual chlorine, how to do proper waste segregation, etc. So these links could be helpful to you and to your team. You can share with them, they can go through it. But there is also links of some key products which we have in our catalog. If you need to place commands, you can easily use these links for references.
Okay, perfect.
Next and last but not the least, we have in tab 1, which is the user manual. The user manual is kind of a summary of what we have just gone through right now. So the idea will be for you to be able to go through, read it, and in case you have any questions, you could contact me or any other WhatsApp referent to be able to assist you. But the idea behind the user manual is to help you to fully fill up these forms, to fully collect this information and interpret the data you collect.
Okay, that's super clear. Thank you very much, Olivier.
Thank you very much, Laura. I hope that the form is going to be very helpful and useful for you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.